Hey, what's going on everybody? I'm Ryan Bossery from Rywire, and welcome back to our CRX project build. Today we're going to be going over a brake line installation with our Rywire brake kit. Our brake kit consists of 8 stainless steel hoses and all the bulkheads and fittings that you'll need to do the install. So let's get right to it. So let's start with the master cylinder. You might be wondering why we opted for a boosterless system. Because of our individual throttle bodies, these throttle bodies don't really create any vacuum. So instead of simulating the booster with an electric pump, we decided to try out just eliminating it completely. And if we ever have to go back to a booster system, we can, but we really wanted to give this a try. This is a honed performance piece, and they actually have gotten a lot of development in positioning this master with the proper sizing and placement to give the best pedal feel possible. So it's going to feel like a manual brake system, which most people might not really like, but we're going to go ahead and give it a try on this project. We feel that because the ratio changed with the honed performance piece, that it'll actually give a pretty good pedal feel. It might feel a little bit like a modulated system without the kind of effortlessness of a boostered system. But like I said, if we don't like it, we can always put back the factory system. Let me show you guys what our factory master and booster looks like. This master and booster combo is what was factory on our CRX. Here you can see that we use some banjo fittings and the brake hose that will get us to the firewall. So in most applications, you should be seeing this. Here's the master that we're going to use in this application. This is a factory Honda 7/8 master cylinder with the honed performance adapter plate. Now, you might be noticing that the master cylinder actually sits slightly higher than the factory master cylinder would otherwise sit. And that's because Honed has developed this to sit at about an inch higher than factory. This allows the pivot point for the pedal to be slightly higher and allows the ratio to be a little bit better, making it a little easier to have more load on your pedal as you're braking. Honed also supplies you with this push rod and this re-drill kit so you can get the pivot point just right on your pedal. With the higher pivoting point, it's going to supply a lot more leverage on our pedal, and it'll actually allow the brakes to work way better, even though there's no booster assisting this with vacuum. So let's go over the line kit a bit. As you can see on our master cylinder, you have 2 fittings. One's going to be the brake master for the front, and the other one's going to be for the rear. As we follow these lines down, you're going to see that they're going to run into some bulkhead fittings. You'll be responsible for drilling these in the proper spot. All I can really tell you is to just mock up the lines and see where they fit most comfortable. Then look on the other side of the firewall and make sure that you're not running into anything major. In our case, it's fairly close to the throttle pedal, but still plenty of distance to not create any kind of interference issues. So we elected to drill those fittings just right about there. As you could see, a reference point is our throttle cable. So here's a back view of those 2 master cylinder lines. They bulkhead through the firewall, head down, and run right into our proportioning valve, positioned roughly in the center of the vehicle. Next, let's have a look at our wheel well lines. Let's follow one wheel well line here to the bulkhead into the wheel well. As you can see, we just drilled a small hole and then opened it up and put a bulkhead right there. Let's have a look at our other line. This one is going to go over to the driver's side. I haven't secured it around the steering yoke yet, but same thing. It goes 90 degree into a small hole into the wheel well. Next, let's check out our wheel well line. Here's the driver's and the same on the passenger side. As you can see, we just found the sweet spot in the chassis where it goes straight into the cabin, and we put our bulkhead there. This kit also uses factory brake line hose, so if you guys have a stainless steel kit that you want to use, you would just put it up just like stock, and then our kit would run right into it. Alright, next let's look at our rear lines. As you can see them in the proportioning valve, they travel up the firewall, and then they'll eventually lead to the factory hard lines. Now remember how I said in the rear lines all you got to do is just thread them in? Well, we made a little design tweak here. Because it's in-house and we have the ability to do some small changes. I thought it would be a little bit cleaner and a little bit nicer to just take our factory lines, cut them, put tube nuts and sleeves on there, 3-to-3 male unions, and convert this to a little bit sleeker design. So here's an overview of the system. So the goal of these kits are to actually put the proportioning valve inside the vehicle. And on our CRX, it's actually quite necessary because the proportioning valve sits right about where the engine valve cover lies on the shock tower. The prop valve lives in this area on the passenger side shock tower, and there's really just not enough lines for the proportion valve, the lines, and the valve cover. Overall, I'd say this was a perfect application for our car. We were able to put the proportioning valve inside the vehicle away from the valve cover, as well as converting to manual brakes with a proper pedal feel. Here's how our engine bay currently sits. Until next time, thanks for tuning in, you guys. Peace.